Mortgage Solutions, and welcome back to another episode of Who Are the People in My Neighbourhood. Today I have the pleasure of joining Maria, who is a kinesiologist.
Yes.
So thanks for having me along.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad you were able to come.
Well, I'll tell you what, this space is really relaxing and beautiful.
Thank you.
You must really enjoy working here every day.
I really do. I really do. And my clients love it as well. They feel very safe and secure. And because kinesiology, what I do, if you don't mind me saying, I really love working with the emotional side. So for somebody to be able to feel really safe and secure, it's really important. And so I try to have an atmosphere where they're going to be able to release their emotions and feel okay about doing that.
So how long have you been doing kinesiology and helping people release their emotions?
I've been doing that for probably about 12 years or so now. So I started in 2005, 2006, and did the what was it, the certificate 4 back then, and then I think it was a couple of years later that they brought in the diploma. So I ended up going back to school with a few other girlfriends that I met along the way, and we did the diploma. So it was very new back then, and I love it. I just love it.
What triggered you to get into this industry?
How I got into it was probably due to a lot of stress growing up, and it pretty much started, if I really think about it, when I was 6.5, and I think it was grade 2, and I was laughing with all the other children in class, and it was before the teacher arrived in the morning, and she walked in, and we were all, laughing and carrying on. She told everybody to sit down and grabbed me and pulled me out to the front of the class, and she pretty much said to me, put your hands behind your back and poke your tongue out. And I was really embarrassed. The kids were giggling and looking at me, and I just felt terrible. But she grabbed a pair of scissors and she held them open to my tongue, and she said, if you ever laugh or talk in my class again, I'll cut your tongue off. And I feel what she was trying to do, looking back, is make a decision that she was going to say, well, this is what it is. If anybody else does it, this is what's going to happen. So I was just the one that was unfortunately picked out of the group, and I just had a sea of faces, mouth open like you just did, and I just wanted the earth to swallow me up. Because I had no self-worth, no self-esteem. I was easy pickings for kids to pick on me as well. So anyway, I finally left school, and I started a job, and I realised that it wasn't about school. It was about me. Then I had to deal with authority. It was authority figures. So then I had bosses, not teachers. So it just kept going. And by the time I turned, I think it was 19, 20, I was constantly going to the doctors thinking I was having heart attacks.
Panic attacks?
They were panic attacks. And all as the doctor said is, you're stressed, just relax. And that was it. So
It's easy, just relax.
I know. So I continued with my life. I got married. I had a child. I was actually really, really grateful that I was able to have her, because I decided to stay home, which means that I didn't have to deal with the outside world. I could just live in pretty much a little cocoon, a bubble where I felt safe, and I didn't have to deal with bosses or anybody in authority. I realised that the marriage that I was in wasn't a great marriage for me, and so I decided to leave, and that was the first time in my life that I was actually responsible for somebody young, but also able to make decisions for myself. I was about 32 years of age, and I turned on Oprah, and I was watching her talk to a guy called Gary Zukav, and he wrote the book Seat of the Soul, and that was the most amazing. And that's the first book that I had read since I was 14. So it took a while for me to actually absorb what was going on and everything. And he was talking about the authentic self. And that just resonated with me so much. And I think it empowered me slightly. And I realised that I needed to get out of this unhappy marriage. So I took the plunge, and I haven't looked back. I decided that I would learn counselling because a girlfriend of mine said, you would be amazing at counselling. You've got this knack to listen to people and show empathy and everything. So I thought I'd look into that. It scared the pants out of me because I went, oh my goodness, I have to take myself back into an environment where I've got to go back to school with teachers, and all of those emotions from back then flooded back. So I did that for probably close to a year, and I realised that there was still something missing. I was loving the counselling and I was excelling in it, but there was still something missing. I ended up going to an expo, like a mind, body, spirit, and I think it was called Living Now Expo back then. And I just went, I've got to find whatever it is that's missing. I didn't know what it was, so I ended up walking into the main doors after paying my money. And I looked up at this sign and I went, I can't even pronounce that.
I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. It was strange because it's not spelled phonetically, so it doesn't look like the word. And I just saw this person, with this other person doing this, and I went, what on earth are they doing? Anyway, I went, no, I'm here to look for what I'm looking for. And I thought it was something to do with aromatherapy or naturopathy or homeopathy or something like that. So walking up and down these aisles, and then I realised that they had the rooms there where people actually do lectures. And I saw that strange word again, and they were lecturing and they were talking about, how physical and emotional marry up. And I went, oh,
sounds like
this,
what you're into.
Yeah, so this sounds really interesting. So I went in and listened to the lecture, and my heart started pounding. I started getting really excited about marrying both the counselling and the kinesiology, because I found out how to say it after that, together. And so I went up and I spoke to this man, and I found out all about it, and I pretty much booked in there and then, and I went, right, give me something I need to do, because I think it was towards the end of that year and they weren't starting until the February of the following year. Give me something to do before it starts. And they said, yeah, you've got to do physiology and anatomy, and that's 117 or 18 hours of study to do that. And I went, right, give me that. I'll start off with that. So I had 3 months to actually do that, to get myself into that. I was still doing counselling at that stage, so I had both going together, and so it was pretty full on.
A daughter.
Plus a daughter, yeah. That's exactly right. So, but it was great. I really loved it, and I was really enjoying it, and that was the main thing. I started doing the Certificate 4 then after that, and I realised probably about halfway through the first year of the Certificate 4, I went, I'm actually surpassing the counselling. I'm getting more out of doing the kinesiology and those emotional components in the subjects than I was getting out of counselling. So I ended up dropping the counselling and just focusing completely on kinesiology. And it literally changed my life. I was able to release all of those emotions that I've been carrying with me for decades. And since I was 6, and I haven't looked back. And what I realised that this was my true passion, my calling, to be able to help other women, a lot of other women, to build up their self-worth, their confidence, because I realised that there are so many women out there that don't have self-worth and confidence. And for us to be able to walk on this earth and be our authentic selves, there's nothing greater. It's nothing, I'm getting all teary now. There's no greater gift than to be able to do that and have that. So, yeah. I keep doing it because I love it. Hang on.
No, you're right. I know when I met you the other day and you said that you had a new and exciting toy. It's not a toy, but do you want to tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to. And it actually really enhances what I do with the kinesiology. It happens to be this little machine here. It's a PEMF, which stands for pulsed electromagnetic frequency. It's a cellular exercise machine. It has this innate ability to be able to hone into where the inflammation and the pain is in your body, and then it energizes and exercises those cells. Now, a bit of biology here. When our cells are damaged, you know, we're sick, we've got a cold or, you know, pain in our body, the cells actually start flattening like a pancake. And they all start clumping together and they can't move freely. So with this, it actually energizes the cells. So it gives them like a vibration. So that's the pulsed frequency that goes through them. And when it does this, it actually sloughs off all of the toxins that are caked onto the side of the cells. And it's able to then absorb the nutrients that it's supposed to have. Thousands of things called mitochondria, and they're actually the battery of the cell. Now, for them to be charged, it actually takes 30 to 40% of energy to keep the cells looking like this, and that's a lot. It's a lot of energy. So with that 60 to 70% left, when they're fully charged, then they go about doing their business of doing the recuperation of the cells in the body and whatever they're connected to. So whether it be muscle or tissue or bone, whatever it is. So it does take a lot of energy for these little cells. And when they're energized, then they move freely within the body and they're able to do what they need to do. So it's just amazing. So I always love kinesiology because it's everything encompassed, and I'm able to help people with the pain in their physical body with the emotional release. This just helps me so much more. You know, I'm sitting on the chair pad, and when you turn it on, you feel a little tingle when it starts happening, and then as it goes on, then it starts tapping, and you actually feel that in your body, and it just finds the spots. It's quite amazing.
So, Maria, if someone wanted to get in touch with you to find out pricing or to book with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
The best way is to phone me, and the phone number is 0423 829 722.
Thank you so much for having me along today.
You're welcome.
So as you know, these videos are brought to you by our sponsor On Deck, and I'd really like to thank Maria for having me along, and stay tuned for the next episode of Who Are the People in My Neighbourhood.